Good morning, Greg.
He's back! David's back! Hi,
I
David!
made it.
Right.
I mean,
The team's back together.
I still didn't sleep last night, but I'm here.
Well, sleep's overrated.
I mean, at least I wasn't like working.
Thank goodness. Because you do too much of that.
No,
So,
work is work.
yeah.
Work is work. But welcome everybody. There's a few people here, folk here.
Yeah, we've been saying hello in the chat before the show. And It's good to see everyone here this Sunday morning.
So if you're here, welcome. If you're not here
Or,
and watching
or
later,
Sunday
welcome.
evening, wherever you are.
Yeah.
It depends.
Could be even Monday,
I don't know. Do we have any Australians here?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But welcome anyway. There's a few things that's going on today. We were just discussing this. Particularly, I don't know if we have this up to date quite yet, but if you're on this list, and you should be on the list, thank you. If you're on the list and you shouldn't be on the list, still thank you.
I'm pretty sure it's up to
How it's thanks. And then thanks everybody else on there. We got some stuff that's gonna be happening pretty darn quick now. That wouldn't be possible without you guys. So thank you. What the heck is that, Greg?
This is some parts for the V0, and there was a little mishap. The certain legend hates David.
Yeah.
And myself, and so you could see the quality of parts that were coming off of the legend, and then the quality of the parts that come off of what, David?
Yeah. So we just went for broke, and I threw an Ender 3 in the enclosure. I wasn't super happy about it, I would say, but now I'm happy about it. It's working great. Yeah, the legend threw the build plate again, although I couldn't throw it anywhere. So, because the front door of the enclosure stopped it from throwing it on the concrete floor. So it did that. It dived in and it snapped the hot end actually a twain. So everything that was mounted to that little build plate snapped. I'm surprised that the build plate survived. So that was the thing. But now the Ender's out there, and all the parts for Greg's Theron will be done tomorrow morning, I'm sure.
Pretty close.
So the Ender can print
you're working on purple right now?
Yeah, so purple, and then the last bit of whatever the black was. The good part is that they're both one build plate full now, so the purple, and they're all done in one shot.
Yeah. The only thing we couldn't fit on, I think, was the top hat.
Yeah, it's a little bit big. So the top hat's it goes on top of the Voron for the enclosure and stuff. But
and that's okay. I will make do for the first little while without it, and we will strive, because I kind of wanted to do a slight redesign on the top hat.
Yeah. Well, and you can. That's the nice thing. You can do whatever you want now, right?
Yeah, because Stefan had suggested putting a charcoal filter on the top and a fan to be able to kind of filter out some of the air and whatnot. So I'm thinking that might be a good idea. So I'm going to look and see what other ideas are out there for the top hat.
Yeah.
But,
it's like 3 millimeters off, I think.
Yeah, I might still maybe do PETG or something. So I can always print.
Well, it's not like it's one of the moving parts, right?
Yeah, the ABS parts that are internal, those ones are all ABS, so I don't have to worry about droopiness if I do print hot.
Yeah,
so
and then Ray just said it too. It doesn't matter what you print it in; it can be PLA or PETG or whatever.
Yeah, that was the one thing.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, we said it yesterday. Just print a black PLA on like a CR10 or whatever.
I have black PETG.
Yeah, so I mean, you'd be
I
fine.
could even do that. So, and that'll be the only other part that wasn't printed in the ABS, I think. So,
Yep.
So it's okay.
But it's crazy, like the Legend, although it was printing, like it never really got to, high quality standards. But like the, it if you guys remember, good morning, Pierre. If you guys remember, I don't know how long ago it was now, but the build plate, we talked about it, it did fly off, and I think it was the same thing, but this time I caught it while it did it, so I kind of figured out why. And it looks like the Z stepper loses power, so I don't know if it's a bad board or a bad stepper yet. And then it just lets the gantry fall, and then it drives itself into either a print or the bad, and then eventually it'll throw it off because of just it's putting all that pressure down.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is. But so before we Idex it, which is the next, I think Greg's going to be doing the Voron and I'm going to be doing a bit of Idex, I think. But
after I do the Voron, then I will work on my Idex.
Yeah.
So it's I've got some ideas on how I want to kind of reconfigure it, and then I like some of the stuff that Ray has done and some of the parts he got. I'm gonna consult with him on because I need to do a second Z stepper on it
for the Legend or whatever.
Yeah, well, for
or whatever
the rebirth.
Yeah,
we should call it the Phoenix. It can rise from the ashes.
What happens if I beat it with a baseball bat already and it's a little bent? Just kidding.
Really has to rise from the ashes?
Yeah, it can't rise. No, it's fine. It's fine. I just put it aside. Yeah, I don't know. The other question I guess would be, is there a particular board or method you guys wanted to see in an Idex? Do you want to do dual SKR 1.4 and like Clipper? Do you want and I know Greg has the we have an octopus. You have an octopus and the other one. Don't you have both of them?
Spider.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spider, and then we actually have an Idex.
We have an Idex.
There's a fly.
Board.
Was it the fly?
No, I have the I have that, but then I also have I have too many.
Yeah, for some reason Greg collects them like Pokemon.
Yeah. I have the SKR Idex.
Yeah, that's the one. So there's options. But if there's something in particular you guys want to see, drop it into Discord, throw it into chat, or pop it in here right now. But my thought on the Idex that I want to do is probably gonna be the Clipper with 2 boards. Is I think what I'm gonna. But
I think that's good because a lot of people might have multiple older boards kicking around,
right, and then you can just use them.
You can really kind of showcase how to get that working. I mean, between you and I, we probably have some old Creality boards around too, so we might be able to even show off how to configure. How you could make that work too.
Yes, thanks, Pierre. Dr. Pepper and Coke will be enjoyed by all.
Oh, thank you, Pierre.
And yes, the Voron does live, and the project that will be starting very, very soon.
Pierre, did you get your V2 fan situation straightened out?
Maybe.
Hopefully he did.
The Voron lives. I like it. Yeah, so there's just that. For us, that's kind of what the landscape's looking like. And then I think after last weekend, time is back again on our side. So the other thing, I guess the other thing, and everybody's aware of this, probably. If you're not, we have some breaking news. Just kidding, it's not breaking.
Well, it's not very breaking.
It's old news, actually. So we popped it into chat a while back on Discord. this week. But
Yeah, it was either who was it that I think it was either Stig or Ray.
yeah, it came in there after too. But
I don't know. Someone threw it in Discord. So.
yeah, Thingiverse. If you guys are on there and have an account, Thingiverse got hacked. Now, hacked is a relative term. Generally, these data breaches are not from like a bad actor just trying to hack a server, somebody internally. And in this case, is what happened is a backup file got
misconfigured a blob.
Yep, and it went to the Wild Wild West internet. Now, one of the things, and it's an interesting topic because Greg and I do this for work almost every day, and it's a constant battle, I think, to secure data in a way that is almost not foolproof but user-proof. I think that's
which is the hardest thing is the user part.
It is, and so when you look at Thingiverse and you look at almost all of them, and I'll screen share it in a second here, but there's a whole, if you guys want, I'm gonna paste this whole thing into the chat, Greg. This is gonna work really good. Copy and paste. So I'm pasting the link to the article that explains what happened into chat. But basically, what you need to know is there's a chance that your email address and password have been, compromised, and that's not okay on several levels. And the first level is why are they storing the passwords as plain text in their database?
Well, and that's a huge thing. It should be salted and hashed, and when it's sitting at rest and encrypted, everything, right? So if it's not, then I mean that's just bad.
Well, and encryption would be the best, right? Like salted, hashed, then encrypted, because you couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys seen. I don't know how many people have seen an encrypted password, but they resemble an auto-generated password from like a password manager.
It's
huge.
It's a long string of gibberish and if it's salted and hashed, it's
even
hashed.
Longer.
It's longer, and it's you can't reverse it.
No, and then
so that's the important
yes.
thing, right? If you have data sitting at rest, that's the way you want it stored.
And you can't just type an encrypted password in either. Like if you copied an encrypted password from a database and pasted it, it will not log the user in.
Yeah, and if it's just hashed, potentially. In the old days, you could literally take the hash, throw it in, and use it as a password.
And same thing with salting. Like, hashing and salting are a very similar technology, and I don't know how familiar you folks are, but with it. But like hashing, it's exactly as it sounds, and salting is actually similar. They just add components to your password to make it a bit longer, and then you hit submit and sign in.
But that's why you want it salted, hashed, and encrypted, because then it's even more. Or the encryption process can involve some salting and hashing in of itself too.
Yep.
So, but let's just say someone screwed up.
Whoops.
They didn't set their security right on this blob repository on I think it was AWS, was it?
It was web service. Yep.
And so basically that data was exposed, and anyone, if they wanted to, could download that blob of backed up data or raw data or what. I don't know quite what it was, because I haven't delved right into it.
We don't know
how to look.
Exactly.
But once you download that, you can just go through it and see what you can find.
Yeah, I'm just going to take this piece and this piece and this piece. Now, there's a reason, and I'll screen share something in a minute, but there's a reason in the live stream that the word hacked is in air quotes or quotes, I guess. the real quotes in, is because this is not a hack. This is a
No,
data
no.
breach, and this was bad security. Um,
Yeah.
So like a hack would be obviously, there's
A
bad
bad
actors.
actors deliberately try.
Not just it's the same thing as you leaving your cell phone unlocked on a table and then somebody posts something on your Facebook and then you go, oh, I got hacked. Sorry about that. No. That's the equivalent. That's kind of what happened to Thingiverse, and like Ray said too, we didn't say it out loud yet, but
This is
this
the
is
first
the
time.
third time, at least.
At least.
Now, one of the things they mention is to change your password, and Greg asked if I had, and I was like, no, I don't need to. And there is a reason behind that, and I'm going to share my screen here and show you the reason why. Now, the reason comes with its own pros and cons. However, here is the Thingiverse homepage and sign-in page specifically, and you can see like I have my LastPass stuff up, so if I wanted to, I could the first and the easiest one is don't manage your own passwords. Let
Generate it.
let LastPass, Bitwarden, whatever you want to do, let them generate it, and you remember one password. But the other easiest way to keep your information safe, secure, is federated services. So federation is something that businesses do all the time. It's something that has been available to the user all the time. So if you look at here, I'm just going to zoom in. Not that we have to zoom in too much, but you can see here, like I could type a username and password, but this button underneath that says sign in with Google. All right. So that there. If I go to my mini factory, there it is again. If I go to cults, they have lots of options. Google, Facebook, Yahoo, GitHub, right? If I go to things, it's Facebook, Apple, Google. And Google has been predominant, like, in the way they offer their sign-in services. But when you use that sign-in with Google button, no longer are you using a username and password. You're passing a token back and forth that just says, yep, they can log in, or nope, they can't.
And depending on what requests or the service that you're logging into requires, they may get more information, like maybe an email or whatever. Like you agree to those terms when you do it, but so it's not totally obfuscating all of your data. No. There is some data being shared with that service, but your password is not.
So like that's why, and I guess that's why when we mentioned like there's a downside, and it depends. Like if you think about a Thingiverse account, it needs to know your first name, your last name, an email account, and then you make like a username, and you still do all of those things when you sign in with your Google account. But like generally speaking, when you're going to a website and you click sign in with Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, whatever it is, it tells you what it's actually going to do. And 9 times out of 10, it's usually like, oh, we just want your first name, your last name, maybe.
It's enough reasonable information normally that they can identify you as your account. So like it's enough to associate your account with, so that you can have the ability to access their service.
And then you don't got to worry about like it's not an extra password anymore. Your login is obfuscated and secure generally. And in this situation where Thingiverse gets hacked, your information is a hash token that doesn't get them anything.
Well, that's
hopefully
they could get some information.
Well,
right?
they will get. They still get your email address,
username,
that stuff, but they're not going to get a password, and you're not going to have to, like run around and because I know some people that you shouldn't do this, but there's still some out there that use the same password for No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
And like this won't be the last time with Thingiverse in particular, because when you read the article, it's like they didn't learn anything. Is there an option that doesn't require Google? So Dominic, there is, but not for Thingiverse.
Yeah, Thingiverse, you're going to have to create an account, and then you could just, I think it was Stig that said he makes sure he has a different email account for every website, and that's one way of doing it. I don't necessarily like doing that because then you have like a zillion email accounts. That's why I personally use LastPass, not a sponsor. But there's a lot of good password management tools out there. I prefer LastPass myself, but there's Bitwarden. There's probably about 50,000 other ones. If you're an Apple person, I think Apple
iCloud Keys or whatever it is.
Keychain or whatever it is. So there's a lot of different services, and the nice thing is you can generate, you'll have to look at what the requirements are for the site you're logging into. Some of them require, uppercase, lowercase, blah, blah, blah. But you can max out the number of characters to whatever the requirements are and make a password, 21 characters. Now, it is kind of crappy if you have to type it in yourself. But once in a while that happens.
Yeah.
But
when you get it, though, it's like a party, right? Like you're having fun.
It's so nice to just not worry about a password on a site and having a very good way of managing it. Highly recommend using a password manager, but again, to each their own. Not everyone has their own strategy for managing that stuff. So I know my mother-in-law, she has a little book. She has a unique password for everything. But she has a little book that she keeps by her computer. And it has, I said, what's your Microsoft password? Flip, 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 flip. She finds it.
It's in there.
Right?
It's indexed carefully. Yeah.
So, I mean, everyone has their strategy.
It's one of those things too, right? Like where I will, if there is a sign in with button, I will always use that. But whatever you're most comfortable with. I think if you're managing your own passwords at this point in time, it's time to look at something to do it, though. I think
the one reason I use LastPass is it supports pretty much every platform. So if you're on Android, Apple, Windows, Linux, there's a way to manage it. So that's kind of why I like that one. I can't remember what platforms Bitwarden supports, but it supports a number, quite a few too.
It supports all of those like big ones. It's just it handles your password login a little bit different.
And it depends on what kind of environment. If you're a Mac user, then you need to find something that fits into the world that you live in, right? So
Stig brings up a really good point, and it actually it marries nicely with using the federated services is two-factor authentication, and that's where it sends you a little code to your cell phone that you have to type in, or you have to click OK on like another device once you've signed in.
And I like that too. I actually have because I share my computer with my kids, there's certain accounts I don't want the kids to have access to for passwords. So like my banking, my PayPal, my whatever, I have it prompt for the master password credential. Any time that one of those accounts is attempted to be accessed through my LastPass, so that if you're not there and you don't know the master password, you can't access those services. So to access LastPass on a new device, you have to use two-factor also. So I have all those kind of layers in set
Yep.
up. So, but two-factor, if you have a service that can have two-factor, I think we all pretty much have cell phones now that hopefully are smart cell phones.
What if mine
that
still
you can,
flips? It says Motorola
that you
V20.
can. Well, hey, but the new smart ones flip.
That's
So
true.
it's all good.
I'm forever getting the
So
Apple phone call too.
make sure that you have some sort of two-factor service enabled. Is the best way, and maybe that's something that Thingiverse can do, is add two-factor.
Well, I know, like, I mean, this is not actually the first data breach that I've been involved with this week, to put it that
Right?
way. I've had a more serious one personally, and then their solution was, here's a credit monitoring service. Monitor your credit. Good luck. And it's like, oh,
and this
okay.
I haven't got the letter yet, so I don't know if that's a good thing.
Well, like,
but,
two of us have
now
now, but
that was our pension?
no, that's the
Or
benefit
that's our benefits.
plan or whatever.
Yeah,
but
so our health benefits, our secondary health benefits we get through our employer, they had a data breach. It wasn't a hack, it was a data breach.
and we won't name the name of anything, obviously, but like it was explained that it was a data breach because, and this is, we were talking about it before too. It was probably a phishing email that sent a credential request, and then they, click and you log in. But that's not, that's not what happened with Thingiverse. Thingiverse was lax, lazy security.
Yeah.
But
I think we've kind of covered that to kind of depth.
well, not really. We could keep going about what you should do, but I don't think these nice people.
We don't want anyone falling asleep.
No. If you want to come to the advanced security internet stuff, yeah, we can. We could keep that. But yeah. So with just finishing up Greg's project for the Voron parts, I don't know if you guys know or not. The Ender 3 that I put out there, I think I did a video with it, but it has the inductive probe. So
yes, you did.
I think I did a video on that one. But like, so if you guys like don't know, it's an 8mm sensing inductive probe, which means when the probe senses metal surfaces 8mm away, it triggers. So midweek, was it midweek when I was like, I have the best bad idea ever? I think it was like Wednesday or something. I decided to put glass on oh, thanks, Dig.
Thanks, Dig.
I think I decided to put glass on the Ender midweek here, and so I put a piece of glass on top first, and then as you guys know, the Ender 3 comes with that magnet, like the base magnet. So if you just put the glass on top of it, the sensor doesn't trigger because it's too far away from the plate.
Well, and then the plate's aluminum too.
Right. So then I was like, oop, bad idea number 2. So I got a piece of the before flex plates had like that PEI coating on it. I got one. So then I used that one. I covered it in glue stick on the top, and flexi, and then I put the glass on top of it. And the glue stick actually held the glass to the plate too well when I had to undo it. But it didn't work either. So the sensor triggered, but the problem is the sensor, and most of you know this, if you have Prusas, you've run into this issue before, but an inductive sensor, since it's not sensing the glass, it's sensing the surface under the glass. If that surface is not level, it doesn't draw a level picture of your bed, and it will never print correctly. So what happened was one side was triggering too close, so then you'd only get half the bed was printing, and the other half was the extruder clicking because the nozzle was grinding into the bed. So yeah, and so eventually I went back to what Greg held up, and that's those we like them. I think we bought a few from Spool here and there, and a few
Mhm.
from Amazon, but they are those nice shiny
Mine all came from
Spool. Yeah,
Spool. Uh, yeah.
they're good. I like them. The catches is um, some. I've noticed with the ABS that you have to, and maybe you guys have a similar experience, but every print I have to wipe it down now. Like for just when I'm doing ABS, like so between prints, I just have to give it a quick wipe with some
Just
ISO.
a little bit of oil from taking it
Yeah,
off is all it takes to kind of make it not stick.
yeah, and some of them stick really well. Stig says I use glass on both my Ender 3 Pro printers. I used to use a 5x5 manual mesh level, but now I have to level the corners. Mm-hmm. Leveling the corners is a good thing.
Yeah,
It's the way it should be.
absolutely.
It's the way it should be. Out of curiosity, on the topic of leveling, is anybody using those silicone standees? I think I remember people, but you can replace. So Greg and I, we like to put the yellow springs on our enders and
Yep,
printers because they're stiff um,
yep.
and they offer uh, more resistance, right?
I know a lot of people like putting, the just, you know, a solid spacer underneath. So
Yeah. Um, and then race. So we got a few races on glass with ABS. Dominic mentions the TH3D Easy ABL. I've never used one. If Tom wants
yeah.
to send, or Tim, not Tom, if Tim wants to send one, I'll use one. But yeah, I've never actually used it. The Dominic mentions
Everybody's using
the
solid spacers as well.
oh yeah, solid spacers. Okay. The price on the Easy ABL is up there. It's like $100 Canadian-ish, whereas the inductive probe on my printer was $7.86 or something.
So that other probe from TH3D, does it can it sense glass then, or is it still it's just got a
Yeah.
better
It is
sense?
still just an inductive or conductive
Yeah,
probe.
it's
So
kind of what I thought.
yeah, um, yeah. Like for glass, if you guys are printing glass in ABL, you either have to go like a high temp BL touch if you're in a chamber BL touch. If you're not, or if you've had luck with, which we have never had luck with any of the BL touch clones, but if you have one that works,
Yeah, I would stay away
yeah.
from those. Yeah. Ray, what are you using for? Do
Questions
you use
is
a auto bed leveling sensor, or are you just you level it once and you're good?
yeah. Um,
I'm curious.
So Pierre asked, question: using ABS, is it necessary to have 3D printer enclosed? And the answer is no. However, um,
Do you want success?
yeah. So ABS has come a long way, and some of it is very printable without an enclosure. ABS likes heat, so
Yep.
eh, the other reason for the enclosure is to keep drafts away from it. Um, so when you are looking at printing ABS, you don't have to get fancy with an enclosure. It could be a cardboard box for all that matter, but you probably want something to stop the draft, whether that's printing a draft shield with it, right? Like the site, most modern
Because it's very
slicers,
warpy.
yeah. If you don't contain a draft, you will have poor results because it will warp and you will be sad. So again, that's like the loaded question. Yes, but there's ways around it.
And Ray says he uses BL Touch on all his printers except the new
Flash
Flash Forge.
yeah. And I mean we are Greg and I, I think mostly BL Touch except for that one.
Oh,
think.
the Easy ABL can sense the surface of glass. and I switch from spring steel sheet to glass without adjustment. That is really cool.
Easy. Looking at
that is really
like I said, we haven't used one. I know it's still an inductive probe. Oh, that's why it's not actually sensing the glass. It can penetrate 18 millimeters. So it can work with glass. It's just not like... It won't sense glass still because it penetrates 18 millimeters.
Well, either way, it's pretty cool.
It is sweet. Yeah.
You can switch between glass and a sheet and not adjust offset. So
I find, and it could just be me, but Catalloid Urso says capacitive sensors can sense glass or non-metal beds. The issue is with the sensors that it looks like inductive ones, very much confusing. Yes, you are right, because there is capacitive and there's inductive, and they are different.
Yeah, so the easy ABL is capacitive.
Yeah. But it's capacitive at 18 millimeters is pretty good penetration for those probes, which means they can trigger faster.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
The one thing that I have noticed, and I don't know if you found it, but with like those PEI sheets that you held up, the ones that are bumpy PEI, not flat.
Yep.
If I switch between those and then I switch between like just a flat flex or a glass, even with a probe, I'll probably end up setting the offset again, because that bumpy build surface can throw it off a bit, and I usually level a little bit higher on those than I do on the flat surfaces.
I haven't flipped it over and used because the other side is, I don't think is coated, so I haven't tried the smooth side.
It's yellow.
Yeah, the only the one side has the coating on it. So
yeah.
Where some of them, it's both sides, and this one is not. So
I do know also that Ray says it's not coated.
Yeah, it doesn't look coated, and it feels a little rough in spots. So
I think like it's like manufacturer coated.
Yes, the ABL.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So then, yeah, it's that capacitive versus inductive.
That's pretty cool.
It is. I like, what's that other brand? It'll come to mind. FL Sun ships their printers with similar probes. If you get like the higher end, I don't know if there's such thing as a higher end, but
well, now it went from the Pinda probe. Is it capacitive?
I'm not sure.
Or is it inductive?
I haven't used one
because I know it has a thermistor in it to adjust for temperature and whatnot.
Yes.
I don't remember.
Yeah, the little blue ones, right?
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
The Pinda probe is built for, so it's inductive. Boom, inductive. So Pinda stands for Prusa Induction Auto Leveling Sensor. Pinda. So the Pinda probe is inductive, which makes sense, right? Because all the Prusas ship with the PEI flex thing. So that makes sense. Yeah, those little blue ones, I'm not saying they're great, but the little blue sensors are the ones that come on there. Most of their printers, except the Deltas. Most of the Deltas just use that mesh and store it, and then away you go, because it's a fixed bed. Really fixed. There's no room for moving a Delta.
If there is, well, that's interesting.
There was one, and I forget what brand it was, that had 3 leveling screws along the outside. They were like wing nuts.
That just seems wrong.
It does seem wrong, because it should be just, this is what the bed is, and you print on it. But it's a hot topic, but I would think, like, for me, the bulletproof option is a BL Touch. it has its drawbacks. It has its malfunctions in parts.
Oh man, we've lost so many pins on a few of them.
Yeah.
Had collisions, and then that little pin is like toast.
Yeah, you can't even look at that pin, and it's like boom.
So, but when it works, like if you don't have a one of those catastrophic events, it works great.
Yep.
And I think all my printers almost, except the MakerBot, have the probe on it. So it'll be different. It'll be interesting with the Voron because it doesn't use BL Touch. So we'll go from there.
Does the V0
but
have
it's a tiny bed, so I can't see that leveling being too big of a problem on that one.
You say that, but wait till you get there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just jinx myself.
Which you have? It doesn't have any ABL, right? The Forum.
But I do have the accelerometer, so I will be able to do some of the testing to look for resonance on it.
Yep.
And maybe do some faster prints.
Yep. I was who was it? I forget who it was now. Somebody was doing the V0 level, and they're like, make sure you go slow. And they had a probe, and it was the cutest thing ever because it did like a 5-point grid, but the grids were like less than like an inch apart. And you're like, aw.
Well, yeah. I mean, the beds are tiny. Like, they're like 100 by 100.
Yeah.
So
it's not much of, yeah.
So being that we're kind of talking about Voron, they renamed a Voron. For those of you who want an update on Voron news, the Voron 1.8 was the last revision of the 1 series, and they were working on 1.9, and they did a kind of a whole kind of reconfigure of the 1.9, and they released it just I don't know, when was that? Let me just look here. I don't see a date. A couple months ago now. I think it was just before summer, or just after summer. But now they call it the Trident. So if you're looking at collecting them all, like Pokemon, the Trident is now the replacement name for the 1.9, what would be the 1.9. So if anyone is interested, that's kind of neat. So I'm kind of looking like they're slowly, as they build up the revision numbers, they're like, we have the Legacy, we have the Switch Wire and whatnot. So I'm hoping that they all get a name, because trying to figure out which Voron is what, if you don't understand they use a numbering system, was a little confusing. So having a name, I think, will be very helpful. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, totally. It absolutely. I think Voron, when they started like, oh, this is a V0 1 whatever, right? The numbers that was when they were a young, a young community, and it's growing up. It's time for some names.
They only had two printers for a while, and then now they have a whole ecosystem.
It's an interesting thing, because like you didn't pay Voron, you know what I mean? Like they have all these designs. And
so once you do build a Voron and get it working, and you calibrate it and everything, you can then submit and get an official serial number from them.
Oh, and then that's probably.
So then you have a Voron. So you source the parts, and they don't care where you get your parts from, as long as you're following the specs, and you'll send a picture to them. They have a whole procedure, and then you can actually officially get a serial number from them. So I will be doing that. We'll go through that after we do the build and testing and everything, and then we'll even make a video on maybe the process of getting the serial number.
Cataldo Urso, I think I got that right. Says, in theory, the Boron does not need an ABL. as it has a very flat, thick bed.
It does.
And
It does.
you're not wrong.
It's a very. Do I have it here?
I think the only
It's very thick.
I think like I know a lot of guys using the mesh bed leveling on it, not like for auto bed, but actual mesh once, and then that's good. Right? So
Well, I mean, and the larger Vorons do have a. It depends on the quality of the bed you get, right? Because they are. I guess there's two ways of doing the aluminum sheets that you get. Like if it's rolled and formed, it can kind of potato chip a bit.
oh yeah.
But when you change temperature, but if you get a sheet and then and it's tempered properly, and then they mill it, so that they mill it flat on top and bottom, then it doesn't do the potato chip thing. So, and because it's also thicker too, like it's quite a bit thicker. So it depends on the quality of parts you buy too. Like, because some people can sell you a cheap one, and it can still maybe potato chip a little bit, but it's amazingly better than a lot of the other ones, because you look at your ender and there's not a lot of material there on the bed.
Oh no, it's I mean that's exactly why a Voron, like even though it's a DIY, you know, it costs a little more. In theory, the parts are a little more substantive. Would have been fun to upgrade one of for my E3 printers to a switch wire. Yeah, it would still be fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a number of Ender switch wires kits and designs that are available in the community on Voron. So if you're interested in converting one, definitely take a look at that. They have a lot of different printers that they have done the switch wire to. So take a look at that. It's the if you've never been on the Voron community forums and whatnot, take a look. There's a lot happening there. Their GitHub is very, very substantial. They have a nice community section where if you do a mod, you can submit it and maintain it under their community mod. There, it's really.
Yeah, they have. It's a really good. Community and project, because it gives high-end 3D printing a home, but again, like I mean, it's a process because it is a self-built printer, so there is a little more, you know, troubleshooting, diagnostic setup at the beginning.
It definitely should not be your first printer.
Maybe your third. Just kidding. Could be your second, because you would need one to print all the parts.
Yeah, you need some experience with just general, you know, kinematics and everything. Just understanding a good grasp on how a 3D printer works and whatnot, and been through, you know, the weeds of troubleshooting and leveling and everything before you kind of tackle something like that.
Yep. For sure. Just scrolling through
but
chat.
It's gonna be fun.
It is gonna be fun, and it's gonna be done in the morning, I'm sure, because the one print was like 7 hours, and then I can switch and do the other one overnight. So the part should be.
Yes. The wiring can be a nightmare. That's why I picked up some better crimpers. I had some good crimpers. These ones. Yep. I can practically do a crimp on a small wire one-handed. That's how good these ones are. I'm very happy. That was a teaching tech tip on which ones to get, because I had another pair, and he was like, these ones work really well, and then he demoed them. I'm like, oh, I gotta have those.
Pierre says, I see that Voron uses Clipper for firmware, and it does. Partly.
You don't have
to, but like, I don't know. There's the 10-minute benchy thing that's going around, and mostly
Yep.
that's like Voron or something similar with Clipper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the reason why they used Clipper is they wanted to make sure that the Vorons were very accessible to everyone, and because like the 2.4, for example, uses 4Z steppers, so you can actually, you know, manipulate your build plate or gantry, or I can't remember which one moves, but you actually have 4 freedoms of movement on that, and so that requires more steppers than your typical SKR board or typical any board. So the way they got around that was you can have 2 boards, and all the logic is done on the Pi, and you can run different steppers. In theory, you really want the same stepper drivers on all the axis, so you don't have some weird timing issues or stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it allows you to utilize different boards, or if you had multiple of the same boards, without going out and buying very expensive, which at the time when they first came out was a duet with the Duex and stuff like that. But now you've got the spider and the octopus, and who else? There's a MKS now has an 8-port 1, 2. So there's boards that can handle those number of steppers. So you can just run native Marlin if you wanted to, or you can run any Clipper, or you can run whatever you want.
Yep.
Now. So.
Yeah, it's and it's kind of funny because Clipper, so like you mentioned Duet, and Duets are expensive boards ish sometimes, and Clipper, like the Pi's $100. Then if you were going to run 2-board, $100 each. So now you're talking the same ish plane as RepRap as the Duet, but it's definitely an interesting growing Amazon.
Yeah,
Amazon.
but they were also looking at, like, you might have 2 other boards kicking around, right?
Yeah.
So if you had 2 boards kicking around, then all you have to do is buy a Pi.
And that's like I've got, I don't know, 4 or 5. They're not fancy boards, they're old boards, but they would work. But like, yeah, Clipper is it's a really good firmware, especially for those Vorons and projects where you need more than 5 let's say 5 steppers. That's about standard.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna bring this screen up, Greg. Hold on, bring your screen up. So thank you everybody on this list. If you're not supposed to be there, still thank you.
I think everyone's supposed to be.
I think it's correct. I think, but we might be missing one. I can't remember.
Nope, we are correct.
Okay, so thank you all. We appreciate everybody up there.
And just remember that we do Patreon live stream, and then we will bring you guys in if you want to join us. You don't have to. It's not like a must, but if you are able to join us, we love to be able to not just chat with you in chat, but actually face to face on the stream too. So that's the nice thing. And then we always also have our Discord community that everyone participates in, and there's some really good discussions there as well.
And then I think next week will be the Patreon one again. I think. Just let me check. Pretty sure. 90. Even if it's not, it will be, because we're running out of October. Yeah, it's next week.
Yeah. Well, or Halloween.
Ooh.
We could have a spooky Halloween one.
We have a costume party.
Everyone has to dress up.
Last time it was just me. Yeah, but you're cool, Ray. We appreciate when you hang out and stuff.
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
I mean, I think now that it'll be Sunday, we'll have it'll be easier too, because I know Stig and
more people can participate.
Yeah.
We have to, and we'll post it earlier and whatnot, so that if anyone wants to join in, they
Yep.
can, and that sort of thing.
And we always do this at the wrong part of the video, but I'm going to do it anyway before we say goodbye. Hey, remember, subscribe, like, share. It's, if you haven't, at least come
Praise the
along.
algorithm gods with the thumbs up.
Appease them. But yeah, you guys been great this week. Good questions. Hopefully we didn't bore you with the security stuff too much. But yeah, anyway.
And we'll hopefully we'll have a stream very soon on my new workbench with actually doing some building of the Voron. I'm looking forward to this. I'm itching. I'm itching, David. Itching.
It'll be done. Anyway, so I guess until next time, friends, we'll catch you on the flip. Have a good one.